Gonna change the theme tune 'cause you hate it. La la, la 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 la. Ooh, fading.
Hello! It seems like it's been a while since I've made any kind of video about books, so I thought I'd update on what I've been reading. It feels to me like I've spent a lot of the last couple of years on Mars, because there was the Mars trilogy, the Kim Stanley Robinson books that I read a couple of years ago, which were tremendous, and I spent about 6 months reading the 1800 pages of those. And then recently there's been parts of the Alastair Reynolds Blue Remembered Earth and On the Steel Breeze, which had Mars settings. And then there was The Martian by... what's his name? I ought to look this up. The Martian, starring a character called Mark Watney, who is accidentally left behind on Mars. And it's a story about his kind of survival from there. Andy Weir is the author of that. Very good book. They're making a movie of it. Quite a quick read. You'll enjoy that. So I read that, and then I've just finished reading Terminal World by Alastair Reynolds. Now, Terminal World is a little bit less obviously Mars-based. Bit of a spoiler there for you, and I will put that there's a spoiler in the title. But yes, a bit of a spoiler. Terminal World is set in the far future, and there's elements of it that remind me a little bit of Fearsome Engine by Ian Banks, and there's things that are a little bit similar to the Bas Lang books by China Miéville, and maybe a little bit of kind of Embassy Town stuff going on there as well. So there's that kind of mixture of steampunk and sci-fi going on with Terminal World. And it's set quite a long way in the future. Came out in 2010. It's set a long way in the future, and humans are living on a planet that they call Earth. A lot of them live in a city called Spear Point, which is built around the bottom of a large structure that goes up into space, and it's split into different levels, with different levels of technology at each level. So near the top are what they call the celestial levels. Below that is what they call Circuit City. Then there's Neon Heights. Then there's I can't remember, it's Steam Town or something like that. Then it goes down like that. So okay, Steamville and then Horsetown are the ones below. And then it goes out to the kind of the Outlands, which are the rest of the planet effectively. The reason why technology is split between different levels is that they have these things called the zones, and in those zones certain levels of technology just won't work. So when you go from one zone to another, your high-tech stuff will stop working if you're going to a lower state zone. So if you go from Neon Heights to Steamville, your electrical items that worked in Neon Heights will stop working in Steamville, and the same that your steam objects that worked in Steamville won't work in Horsetown. Going the other way, it all works, because lower state stuff will work in all the higher states. So it means that the people who live in the celestial levels, which are known as angels, which are kind of heavily adapted post-humans, they can't even really survive in the lower levels. And if you're born and raised in one of the levels with a particular zone, then it's very difficult to go to the other zones. But people seem to survive the zone shifts a little bit better. But anyway, so it's set on this planet where this is all happening, and the story itself revolves around a guy called Quillen and some humans. Quillen's an angel, which you'll find out very quickly at the beginning of the book, so that's not really a spoiler. He's been sent down from the celestial levels to try and work out some way of infiltrating the lower levels of Spear Point. But the angels decide they need to get some information from him, so he has to flee Spear Point, and he goes out into the rest of the world, and that has various adventures. But as it's going on, they do constantly refer to the planet they're living on as Earth. They even make at one point a comment about Mars being visible in the night sky. They don't make any mention of the colour of Mars at that point, which is interesting. But there's things start to kind of give away that maybe not is all as it seems. One of the main characters, and I'll get her name right for you, Maroka. She's described as being about 15 years old, but she has grey hair at her temples, and they make various other comments about how when the world was young, men would live for twice as long and were like children. They talk about how long it would take to go round the whole planet in airships at one point, and it would only take a few days going, and they measure everything in leagues, which is about 3 miles, and they kind of give the speed that they're travelling and how long it would take for them to go around the planet. And the planet's obviously much smaller than Earth. They talk about a mountain that's clearly Olympus Mons. They talk about various things, and it becomes more and more clear as the story goes on that they're not on Earth at all. But they think they are, and for some reason the knowledge that they're not on Earth has been lost at some point in the past. They think the moon has been split in two. They think something's happened to cause the moon to split in two, rather than actually realise that it's Mars's 2 moons. And it very gradually becomes clear that the 5,000 years that they've been living with the zones is actually 5,000 Martian years, and is actually 10,000 human years. So it's interesting. I don't want to say much more about it because I don't want to ruin it for you, but I'd really recommend it. It's like I say, it does remind me, the sort of mega architecture stuff reminds me a little bit of Fearsome Engine, and the kind of idea that they don't really understand the technology that they're living with, and the kind of steampunk element of it. And I'm not a big fan of steampunk, I'm going to have to say this, but the steampunk element of it is reminiscent of Iron Council and Perdido Street Station and The Scar by China Miéville. Very good. Really recommend it. I'd say go and read that. Definitely go and read The Martian by Andy Weir. Terminal World is standalone, and you'll go through it fairly quickly. It's a few hundred pages, but you'll whip through it probably. So I recommend that. And yeah, The Martian trilogy, always good. So next is Ancillary Justice for me, which Books and Pieces, another channel, has been recommending for a very long time, and I've decided to read. So yeah, that's my book update. I know nobody watches these, but I'm making them anyway. So anyway, thanks for watching.